Seton, what are we going to go with first hour?
Marvin sent one actually based on the Brent Musburger getting into the Hall of Fame. Who should Dan get into the Hall of Fame next?
I was thinking about this because my brother, who is a big music guy, he goes, okay, you used your platform to help Foreigner get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because I thought that was an injustice as well, and even met with their lead singer. And I'm like, I'm going on my show, and I'm going to talk about Foreigner needs to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then we had John Facenda, now Brent. I'm tired. I got to let somebody else do this. Yes, Paulie.
I got a couple if you could crank it up.
Man, I don't know if I have the energy.
I'll throw out two for the Pete Rozelle Radio and Television Award. These two gentlemen.
I can't nominate myself, Paulie.
No,
that's silly.
Why not? You got other people in.
Wait.
If the award is contributions to growing the game of football, how about Mel Kiper?
Yes.
Again, it's not even a question.
Yes. Well, we brought this up last year. Yeah, we brought this up last year about Mel.
And Peter King, the writer.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
You want to do one at a time?
Let me do Mel Kiper, absolutely, positively. Yes. And Peter, these are people who are there, it's their lives. It's year round. We get to enjoy football in football season, but with Mel, this is year round. This is all Mel does. And then with Peter, and now he just retired. But yeah, you're right. Those are two great examples of people who should be nominated. But definitely Mel Kiper. He was doing it when people weren't doing this. He changed the draft. Like, if you think about what Mel was doing, when he was doing it, how he was doing it, and he'd be in his little laboratory, and he'd come out with player profiles, and he'd say, this guy from this college, and this is where he should go. And, he had his mock drafts. He did all of this.
Dude, created an entire industry.
A cottage industry that is now metastasized into, its own sports world. Yeah. You got a festival at the draft. I go back, the first draft I went to was 1984. Not a bad draft. 83, I was there, but I wasn't working. But, you start to think about what it was. They had those helmet phones. No one was really there. Players weren't there. Then all of a sudden, it just became bigger. Hey, let's televise this. Huh? Now all of a sudden, it becomes Coachella. It's football Coachella. And Mel helped start that. And I invaluable resource at the mothership. Throughout all those, in my 18 years there, you could always rely on Mel. He would come on, and he was always prepared. He always, he had direction with everything that he was talking about. He didn't give you sort of half-assed answers. Like, he had done his homework, and his homework was going to stand up to GMs who didn't like him, or coaches or players, but he did his homework. So that's a great yes. Let's get started on Mel. Go. And if I have enough energy, then we can work on Peter King. Anybody else that needs to be? I think that's good for now. Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Are you going to expand out of just the Pete Rozelle Award? Because there's lots of other suggestions here.
What else do you have?
Sonny Vaccaro is a great one.
Yes.
Marvin threw out. That's very good.
Well, I even brought that up to Sonny. And I even said it on the show. Michael Jordan, Mike, write a letter, Basketball Hall of Fame. Sonny should be in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Contributions to the game, Sonny Vaccaro, changed the game.
And Mike said, actually, I made Sonny, so...
Well, even if he says that, still, write a letter. Yeah. That would carry a whole lot of weight if Mike says Sonny should be in the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Sonny should be writing a letter for me, really, but...
But, to get it, so we're not doing this posthumously. And that's the key. With Brent being 85 and Sonny is in his 80s as well. What he did for the shoe industry, for coaches. Really, he was doing NIL, for these coaches before there was NIL. Anybody else, Seton, that I can help?
Off of Marvin's list here, we got Dale Murphy. Can you get him into the Baseball Hall of Fame?
I can't.
Why?
I love Murph. I think if he had 2 more home runs, then he might get in the. What did he end up with? 398. He had 2 MVPs. I love Murph. He's one of my favorite people I've ever met in my life. Not just athlete, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think he had to have 400 home runs where they go, all right. Because then you could kind of put him in there with Fred McGriff. And you could say, all right, who else do you have? Because, Murph was a catcher and probably not a very good catcher. They put him in center field, and he became a really good center fielder. Yes, Paulie.
Dan, you know how much round numbers bother me. That's the Dale Murphy is the peak of round numbers bother. 398, 400. He won back-to-back MVPs. There was a time when he was the most feared man in baseball. And the window was 6 years, 5-6 years, but he had some injuries.
He didn't win. He didn't play in big games. But, man, I love the team. Ralph Garr, Bob Horner. Braves were fun. Get to go watch them play all the time when I was living in Atlanta. Who else do we have there, Seton?
Ken Anderson. And get him into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
God, yes. If he won that one Super Bowl in Detroit against Joe Montana, he's in the Hall of Fame, I think. Because Kenny Anderson was the most accurate quarterback back when I don't think we gave a whole lot of credit to being accurate. I think he had one game where he completed 21 consecutive passes. And back then you were throwing deep balls. Isaac Curtis. But, Kenny Anderson, I think, is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I do. Anybody else there, Seton?
We could start populating more of that list.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the audience may have some suggestions. But, man, when I got that news and my friend at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and she said, you did it, and I was like, I saw the press release, and I immediately said to the Danettes, I said, we did it. What else, Seton?
Actually, speaking of audience contributions, somebody tweeted at us a crazy thought that maybe we'll get to in the next segment.
Okay, I can take a break.
But it's fun.
Yeah, just getting started. Man, got emotional about this. But that's your childhood. Like you're seeing somebody who impacted you greatly. And that's why I think I was proud to be able to do that.